So this may collapse Hollywood in general. The writers are going on strike, but we're going to break down why this might collapse Hollywood and what the writers should really be doing in this time.
Now, as you may have heard, members of the Writers Guild of America, the labor union that represents some 11,500 writers of film and television, are officially on strike as of 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday morning. This is the first writers' strike in 15 years, and it comes after 6 weeks of protracted negotiations with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. More specifically, the AMPTP represented major studios and streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, NBC Universal, Paramount, and Sony. In a statement to its members, the WGA wrote, "Here's what all writers know. The companies have broken this business. They've taken so much from the very people, the writers, who have made them wealthy. But what they cannot take from us is each other, our solidarity, our mutual commitment to save ourselves and this profession that we love. We had hoped to do this through reasonable conversation. Now we will do it through struggle. For the sake of our present and our future, we've been given no other choice." If you're confused about the writer's strike, it's super basic. The studios want the option of having WGA writers to work for free or without an agreed upon weekly salary or even a day rate. And we actually want to get paid fairly for our work. The WGA explained their position. The companies have used the transition to streaming to cut writer pay and separate writing from production, worsening working conditions for series writers at all levels.
Now that's the part where I'm like, yeah, that's foul. They should get paid.
Yeah,
you're increasing the budgets because it's a massive. I mean, Netflix is $100 million a month company. You're increasing all of this revenue that's coming in because of streaming, but yet the people who are writing are getting paid less. That doesn't make any sense.
I wonder what the motivation is behind that. Like when I see it from a business perspective, there must be some sort of like they're able to get away with worse stories for some reason. Like they're able to get away with less writing and higher budgets because I guess it attracts the same eyes with streaming specifically. Now I would wonder why that is with streaming and how that's different from theaters. Because you know, like the writing, the story is what makes a good movie. But I guess there must be a cultural shift. I mean, if we're just looking at the money, there must be a cultural shift where people are just consuming stuff.
Yeah.
For the sake of watching things, and not really caring about the story.
Somebody just pointed out that greed is their motivation.
Now, between layoffs, shrinking salaries, the mothballing of finished products for lucrative tax write-downs, and the general contraction of the industry, there are fewer opportunities for writers to actually make a living at their chosen trade. Per the WGA, median writer-producer pay has declined 4% over the last decade. Adjusted for inflation, that's a whopping 23% decrease.
That's crazy.
Now the question is here. I want to know where you're going to land with this.
Okay.
Do we need to fight for writers' wages, or do writers need to find alternative careers, alternative solutions, alternative ways to produce content?
This devaluation has taken on a new dimension in the age of streaming. Residuals have long been one of the primary ways through which writers can make a sustainable income.
Okay.
Residuals, for those who don't know, are ongoing payments for writers that are generated as reruns of shows and movies air on cable, in syndication, on DVD and Blu-ray, or airing on other digital platforms. And the data, if you look at it, can be a bit confusing at a glance because according to Deadline, the WGA West's annual report in 2022 revealed that residuals actually increased by 48.2% from 2011 to 2021. They went from $333 million to $493.6 million.
Okay.
But this is because more projects are being made across the board to keep up with the proliferation of streaming networks. On an actual per project basis, residuals are down significantly. According to Fortune, another major factor in this decline in residual pay is that so many studios and streamers are more likely to order a 10-episode season than the 22-episode season that was the standard when broadcasters dominated the medium. Now, back in 2022, writer Kira Jones very succinctly explained this discrepancy on Twitter. In case y'all are wondering why a WGA strike may be impending, my first residual check for the broadcast show I wrote on was $12,000. I just got my first residual check for my streaming show, $4.
Is that because a broadcast show is generating more money than a streaming show? Like, is that the reason? Or is it because the broadcast show costed less and generated more, and the streaming show costed more because they're spending more on production? Like, I'm genuinely at a lot. Or is it like these companies are just straight shafting the freaking writers? Like, I'm really trying to understand the other side of the argument because I don't get it.
It seems like this would be similar to music only being on iTunes and then it shifting to streaming. And you're like, oh, we used to make 30 grand off an album launch.
Yes.
Easy. That's only 3,000 sales. And then 3,000 streams is a couple cents. It's a million streams is
4,000, about $4,000.
$4,000. A million streams is $4,000. So scale that down. So I would assume it's probably that. I would assume I mean, the amount of ads that were being run during broadcasting is absurd.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get away with that, placing that much ads on YouTube now.
Yeah. I wonder, Blaine pointed out the broadcast show is being played whether people watch or not. So I wonder if they were able to fudge the numbers more and be like, you know, our show is on prime time at Fox and there's 10 million people watching. Where it's like, where now with analytics and data, you know how many people are watching on Netflix. And so then they're allocating less money because you can't inflate those numbers. And there's just more stuff to consume more than ever.
I don't think that's it.
You don't think that's it?
I think people were paying for cable. So you're paying these exorbitant cable prices.
And you were watching commercials.
And you were watching commercials.
What a finesse.
So that's what I mean, is that like, we're like, oh, they're paying into it, where before people weren't paying, they were paying into it,
Yeah.
and we're only paying $12 a month now, and when there's like pretty much no ads. I know they're finding other ways to monetize, like maybe on the homepage or whatever, but we can just say 0 ads. You can watch as much Netflix as you want. You're not getting an ad popping up.
Sure.
Except for maybe like Hulu. Hulu probably has a more sustainable
Yes.
model. But the broadcasting, yeah, you're paying $100 to the cable companies. I'm sure that's divided to the channels, and you have to opt into certain channels and pay for those as well.
Yep.
Those different packages, and then there was, every 10 minutes, every 8 minutes, there's
A commercial.
Like another 4 minutes of ads,
Yeah.
and so I mean that's pretty lucrative.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, there really are. There's people nowadays, like my mother-in-law. Love you, mother-in-law. She bought something off the TV. she like dialed it on the phone. They had the phone number. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that actually works.
Yeah. So what it sounds like is happening, based on what you're saying, is there's more stuff to consume because of streamers, but there is less money being generated per show because
Yes.
there's more stuff to consume. And it sounds like the stuff that's being generated is being earmarked for the money that's just not going to the writers. Like even if per show they're generated less,
Yeah.
it's disproportionately less to the writers as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks.
It's probably a mix of both. It's probably like, one, streaming services, there's significantly less money.
Yeah.
And then two, they are probably cutting costs
Yeah.
so that they can still take their cushy salaries and or still reinvest the profits into, they know how much the next show is going to cost to make,
Yeah.
and they have to front that money.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how I would see this playing out. And then the writers just get the
short end
the
of
short
the
end of the
stick,
stick.
yeah.
8 executives, just 8 executives at major Hollywood studios made a combined $773 million last year in annual salary.
Oh yeah. This
That's
is straight going to the executives' pockets.
It's
man.
robbery.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, I bet the executives aren't making more money.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to keep up their level of lifestyle. They don't want to take a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
So they're cutting it from other places. I don't think they're like, wow, streaming is making so much more money that we can cut. It's still greedy.
Yeah.
Everyone should be taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
If the new model is there's no money coming in,
Yeah.
everyone's got to take a pay cut. You don't get $700 million.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Just because you got it before.
What was that number again? Pull that back. I want to see the. Can you zoom in on that? These fools was caking out. This is for a year?
Endeavor CEO was $308 million.
Hold on, for the year? This can't be for the year.
Okay. Last year, 8 major Hollywood studio CEOs made over $773 million
That's
in annual
almost
salaries.
$1 billion.
Meanwhile, many workers can't. Yeah, bro. This is per year.
This is for a year?
Disney CEO looked like the good guy compared to these fools. Look at this.
He's
$32 million. It's like, oh, that's light. That's
Wow,
light,
okay,
Bob.
hold on. Disney, no, that's okay. Endeavor, Discovery, Disney, EC, Disney CEO, and then who's down below? Fox, Netflix.
Rupert Murdoch.
Okay, so these are the media companies. These aren't the production studios per se. But yeah, I mean, is it unreasonable for me to say these guys may want to take a pay cut? And this is where this isn't very capitalist of me to say. This is where I think in massive corporations like this, unions are probably serve some sort of benefit.
Wow.
You know what I
look at
mean?
You.
Because
Giving into some ideology.
I don't think it's ideology.
When you get ET back in here,
How do you combat this?
you have to work for yourself.
You have to either work for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to be unionized to be like, we're all walking off. Figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you want your content? Cool. Figure it out. Yeah, I mean, I guess these guys could have picked a different career path, but if like your dream is to be a writer on something, and you finally get there, and then you're being paid pennies on the dollar, Zach has no empathy for these folks.
I have empathy. I get it. But here's the thing. If your dream is to be a writer, let's work out some ways that your dream to be a writer can make lots of money. You can create a newsletter. You can produce a show and do a Tucker Carlson type of, you're just reading your teleprompter, right? You can go, like if you're buying a bow tie on credit, you probably could have produced your own show with some homies and still not made anything. But at least you had a higher upside.
Yeah. Here's where I feel for these guys is the people that got in 15 years ago that were making $12K a residual check.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're making pennies on a dollar and they don't know anything else.
Yes. There's no way
now,
to
if you're a young lad and you're like, I want to be a writer for a studio, and you're hearing that this is the pay, congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the folks that have been doing this for a while, I feel bad for these folks.
I do, but it's also, I do feel bad for them. That's really sad. Now it's time to pivot. It's time. It's
like, a lot of people to pivot, bro.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it is. It's not easy. It never was supposed to be easy. These are the same people that got into the 1% of the Hollywood movie making industry. These same people can work their way work their way into another field. I'm saying this on some like, you and me are not going to go talk to Ari Emanuel and convince him to not take a $308 million salary. Or this is where the unions come in.
All right. And we all bounce.
Cool.
Everybody bounce.
No, I think it's great.
What is going to happen?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
it's time to move on.
Or it's time to unionize and fight back, which is what these guys are doing.
Unionize, fight back, do it all. Go through your court case, whatever. In the meantime, while you're also still not getting paid, it's time to go build some valuable skills. And what I'm not even talking to the actual current writers. I'm talking to the idea that you can have your one master skill set and you're going to get paid and have a livable wage off that. I don't think that is the future of creating. I don't think that's the current future of creating.
Yes.
Like, I don't think in any way, shape, or form you can just be a writer and be successful anymore.
Yeah.
This is sad. This sucks. Go spend a couple months. Go spend the next 6 years fighting Endeavor. You got this. But in the meantime, pick up a DSLR.
Okay, but yeah, fair enough.
Honestly, it shouldn't be on some socialist stuff like, oh, Ari needs to make less money. It's like, no, if we're gonna be honest, he probably shouldn't. He shouldn't be making that much money if the people aren't getting paid.
Right.
So it should just be on some not on some socialist like they deserve, or like he shouldn't make $308 million. No, make $308 million if all your writers can be paid. If all your writers can be paid, they're $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's very reasonable. That should be in the losses section of the production. And then you can wallow and be like, oh, I only took home $115 million this year. I lost half my income because of this stupid streaming. You can be mad about it.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
People are saying that, again, I say my prediction is massive disruption in Hollywood in this industry if they aren't using ChatGPT, because I don't think you're going to get an influx of younger writers that are going to be like, yeah, like I'll not have heat in the wintertime.
If you guys enjoyed that video, give it a like, comment down below. I want to know what you guys think, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Peace.